Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. We had planned to have as our guest South Sudanese athlete Dominic Lokinyomo-Lobalu, a former member of the athlete refugee team and now an elite athlete based in Switzerland. However, Dominic is still competing, so we will catch up with him in the coming weeks. And we have already switched to a bi-monthly schedule as the summer season tapers off and track and field athletes enjoy some well-deserved time off. So let's go right away and check what's been happening in athletics over the last fortnight. And here are my top picks from the last 2 weeks, starting with the stadium events and the last Continental Tour meetings. On 19 to 11 September, the Boris Hanzekovic Memorial Gold event took place in Zagreb, Croatia. Events were held over 3 days, with 3 field events, including the men's shot put, held as street events in the first 2 days. Rain marred part of the competitions, but did not dampen the spirit of Sandra Perkovic, who delighted the home crowd on Sunday in the final event by winning the discus with 68 meters 46. Her best mark since 2019, 1 centimeter better than the result, which gave her the silver medal at the World Championships. And she was defeating Valerie Allman, who threw 67.55 and registered the top performance of the meet in the women's events. The best performance among the men also came in the throws, as Ryan Krauser and Joe Kovacs continued their epic battles in the shot. Krauser heaved his implement to an excellent 22 meters 19 to interrupt a series of 6 consecutive wins for Kovacs, who had not lost a competition since the World Championships, but he had to be content with second place with 21.97. Another notable performance came from Soufiane El Bakkali over the 2,000 meters steeplechase. The Moroccan Olympic and world champion was hoping to set a world record over the not often contested distance, but he had to be content with 5 minutes 14:06, an African record and the number 3 spot in the all-time lists. Another top performance in Zagreb came from 17-year-old Dutch sensation Niels Laros, who capped a fantastic season. Laros destroyed the European under-18 best, improving it by 8 seconds to finish in 7:48.25 in 10th place. It is the second European under-18 best for him this season, as he had already improved the age best at 1,500 meters in August, taking it from Norway's Jakob Ingebrigtsen. In a stellar season, Laros was a double European under-18 champion at 1,500 and 3,000 meters in July, took national under-18 titles over 800, 1,500 and indoor 1,500, and he also set the Dutch under-18 best over 5,000 in May. Definitely one to watch in the coming years. On 12 September, at the Gala dei Castelli Continental Tour Silver event in Bellinzona, the best result among the men came from Alisson dos Santos, who notched up another 400-meter win in 47.61, and Joe Kovacs, who turned the tables on Ryan Krauser, winning with 22 meters 16 to 22 meters 00. And it was great to see world record holder Wade van Niekerk continue his return to top form in the 400 with 44.33, his best result since 2017 after the accident which kept him out of action for 2 years. On the women's side, the top performance came from Côte d'Ivoire's Marie-Josée Talou, who clocked 10.86 over 100, while the 200 meters were taken by Namibia's Beatrice Mazilingi in 22.51. Now, behind the winners, it was interesting to see Egypt's Bassam Temida place third behind Daryl Nata in the shorter sprint with 11.07 and turning the tables on the Brit over 200 to finish second in 22.59. And Dominic Loquignomo took another convincing win in the 3,000 meters in 7:38.16. On 9 to 11 September, the South American Under-18 Championships were held in São Paulo, Brazil. Top results came in the women's event from Brazil's Vanessa Senna dos Santos, who won 2 individual gold medals. She first took the 100-meter crown in 11.56 on day 1, and the following day dominated the long jump with 6 meters 39, equaling the 4th best under-18 mark of 2022. Among the men, the top result came in the discus throw. Colombia's Juan David Montaño heaved the 1.5 kilo implement to an excellent 60 meters 84, making him the 5th best under-18 thrower of 2022. Other top results included among the men Brazilian Vinicio Moura on 400 meter with 47.41 and his compatriot Artur Monteiro with 72 meters 17 in the javelin, the 700-gram implement. Among the women, another notable result came from Argentina's Renata Godoy in the under-18 heptathlon with 5,328 points. Hosts of Brazil dominated the medal table with 13 golds and a total of 41 medals, ahead of Argentina with 8 gold and 20 medals, while Ecuador had 7 gold and 14 medals in total. On 7 and 18 December, the Decastar Combined Events Tour Gold Meet took place in Talence, France. At the final event of the Combined Events Tour, Grenada's Lyndon Victor put together his best decathlon of the season, totaling 8,550 points for a national record, setting PBs over 400 meters and the 1,500 in the process. The win in Talence also allowed a Commonwealth champion to claim a top spot in the 2022 Combined Events Tour standings ahead of Switzerland's Simon Ehammer, thanks also to his 5th place at World Championships and his runner-up spot in Götzis. Among the women, after 7 events, the top 2 athletes were incredibly knocked in tie, with both Austria's Ivona Dadic and Netherlands' Emma Oosterwegel declared joint winners with 6,233 points. The female winner of the Combined Events Tour standings was Poland's Adriana Sułek, who was not competing in Talence, but secured the win thanks to her runner-up spot in Götzis at the European Championships and her 4th place at the World Championships. Another notable mark of the fortnight was the area under 20 record over 200 meters. At the Brazilian under 23 championships in Cuiabá, 18-year-old Renan Correa da Lima Galina clocked 20:12 over the distance, a South American under 20 record, destroying the previous mark of 20.46, which had been set back in 2013. The mark is also a Brazilian under 23 record and fulfills the qualifying standard for the 2023 World Championships in Budapest. And 20.12 also makes the young Brazilian the 10th best under 20 performer of all time. But Erriyon Knighton has 6 performances under 19.90 in 2022 alone. Let's move now to road events. The road running season is now in full swing, so let's check out the top performances of the past fortnight. On 11 September, The Great North Run Half Marathon was held in Newcastle upon Tyne. 21-year-old Ugandan Jacob Kiplimo chalked up another win after the Ras Al Khaimah Half Marathon in February and his 5,000, 10,000 meter double gold at the Commonwealth Games in August. Kiplimo clocked 59.33 for a clear win over Selimon Barega, 60.39, who was making his half marathon debut, and 40-year-old Kenenisa Bekele, third in 61.01. The women's race was a tighter affair as Kenya's all-surface multi-medalist Helen Obiri, who will make her marathon debut in New York on 6 November, defended her title in 67.05, but was pushed by her compatriot Peres Jepchirchir, the Olympic marathon champion and world half marathon double champion, who was only 2 seconds behind in 67.02, and Almaz Ayana with 67.10. The Ethiopian, after a stellar track career, which saw her win Olympic 10,000 meter gold in 2016 in a world record time, and conquer the World Championships title over the distance the following year, has moved into road racing this year after taking 218, 220, and 219 off. Also on 11 September, the Fifth Avenue Mile saw a Scottish double as Laura Muir and Jake Whiteman triumphed on the most famous street of New York. Whiteman defended his title in 4:39.6 over compatriot Jake Hayward with 3:49.9 and the USA's Sam Prakel with 3:50.4. For her part, Muir set a course record of 4:14.8, a mark which is much better than the 2020 world lead for the mile on track, which stands at 4:19.89. Muir was well clear of Americans Nikki Hills and Eleanor Fulton with 4:17.4 and 4:18.0 respectively, who were both way faster than their track performances. And Muir's unofficial split of 3 minutes 53 at 1500 is better than her 2022 result on track. Numerous events took place the following weekend. The most notable performances came in Sydney and Buenos Aires marathons. On 18 September, in the Sydney Marathon, Kenya's Moses Kibet came out on top of a tight race, clocking an Australian all-comers record of 2 hours 07:03, ahead of compatriot Cosmas Matolo Muteti, 2:07:05, and Ethiopia's Chalu Gelmisa, 2:07:08. The women's race was not as fast or as close, as victory went to Ethiopia's Tigist Girma in 2 hours 25:10, over half a minute ahead of the nearest competitor. On the same day in Buenos Aires, the Argentinian capital saw a Kenyan double, with Victor Kipchirchir winning the men's race in 2 hours 07:05, almost 2.5 minutes ahead of the runner-up, while Roda Jep Korir took the women's race in 2:26:53, also well clear of her opponents. But the most impressive result that Sunday came in the Copenhagen Half Marathon, which registered amazing depth in both the men and women's races. 22-year-old Ethiopian Milkesa Mengesha, the reigning world under-20 cross-country champion, won in 58:58 ahead of teammate Amdework Valeleny 59:05 and Kenya's Felix Kipkoech 59:07. South Sudan's Dominic Lokinyomolobalo was an excellent fifth in 59:12, and 40-year-old Tadesse Abraham from Switzerland was 14th in a master over 40 record of 59:53. An amazing 16 male athletes clocked 60 minutes flat or less. Now, the super fast Ras Al Khaimah race still tops the season's lists with all the 7 best marks of the year, but only one more athlete there ran 60 minutes flat or less. While the women's race was not as fast, it also registered great depth as 13 female athletes dipped under 70 minutes. Ethiopian ladies took all top spots. 21-year-old Tadu Teshome, 66.13, took the crown ahead of another 21-year-old, Tsige Gebreselama, who was an under-20 bronze medalist both on track and in cross country, and was making her debut at the distance, and she closed in 66.35. Tiruye Mesfin completed the podium in 66.42. On the same weekend in Italy, the biennial AIU Ultra Running European 24-hour Championships were held in Verona, Italy. Lithuania's Alexander Sorokin clocked an impressive 319,614 kilometers to improve his previous 24-hour record, which was set last year. Poland's Patrycja Bereznowska took the women's crown with 256,250 kilometers, and Poland also won both the men and women's team events. We have more sad news, unfortunately, as another top athlete has left us. Briton Brian Hewson, one of the first athletes to run the mile in under 4 minutes in May 1955, passed away on 13 September, aged 89. Hewson took part in 2 Olympics, placing 5th over 1500 in 1956 and not making it out of the heats in 1960 due to a calf injury. In between, he was crowned a European champion in 1958, the year he also won his second consecutive 880 yards silver medal at the Commonwealth Games. Hewson retired after the Rome Olympics and worked as a tailor, later setting up his own company, always in clothing and sports fashion. Rest in peace, Brian Hewson. As we talk about greats of athletics history, we must celebrate a brilliant initiative by the Czech Athletic Federation with a series of events held all over the country to celebrate the centenary of the birth of the great Emil Zatopek and his wife Dana Zatopkova, both born on 19 September 1922. Over 10,000 athletes took part in a series of events held in over 100 stadia nationwide. Legendary distance runner Emil Zatopek won 4 Olympic titles, including a unique triple, 5,000, 10,000, and marathon in 1952, and it was his marathon debut. Zatopek also won 3 European titles and set 18 world records between 1951 and 1955 at distances ranging from 5,000 to 35,000. Dana Zatopkova was also a top athlete who took Olympic gold in the javelin throw in 1952 and was silver 8 years later, claiming 2 European titles in between and setting a world record in 1958. To many, Zatopek is the greatest Olympian of all time, and not only because of his fabulous triple in Helsinki, but for his attitude off the track. When the great Australian Ron Clark, who set 7 world records but never went beyond bronze at the Olympics, visited Zatopek in Prague, as he was at the airport about to leave, Emil handed him a little box, saying it was not out of friendship, but because you deserve it. When Clark opened the box on the plane, he found inside Zatopek's 1952 Olympic 10,000 meter gold medal, inscribed with his own name and that day's date. True Olympic legends. Let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. Top events in the next fortnight are mainly road races. On 25 September, the Berlin Marathon takes place, the first of the autumn marathon majors. World record holder Eliud Kipchoge returns for the 5th time to Berlin, a city which always saw him perform well. After a second place in 2013 behind Wilson Kipsang's world record, Kipchoge was the winner in 2:15 and 2:17, and then set the fabulous world record of 2 hours 01:39 in 2018. Kipchoge has told Kenya's Nation newspaper that he wants to run a race that will inspire the upcoming generation. And considering that all the 7 men's world marathon records of this century have been set in Berlin, expectations are high for Sunday's race. Kipchoge will face defending champion Guye Adola of Ethiopia. And here we see the pair battling it out in an exciting duel in the 2017 edition of the Berlin Marathon. In the women's field, US record holder Keira D'Amato is the fastest entrant and starts as a favorite. So let's look at what is coming up on the calendar. As we saw, Berlin Marathon on 25th September, 30 September to 2 October, South American Under-23 Championships, and then 2 more marathon majors within a week. On the 2nd of October, London Marathon, and also the Košice Peace Marathon in Slovakia, and on 9 October, the Chicago Marathon. What a fortnight of road running. We spoke just a while ago about Olympic legends. Next week also marks a very special event, the reunion on 27 September in Barcelona of Derartu Tulu and Elana Meyer, 30 years after their epic 10,000 meters Olympic final, one of the most beautiful and symbolic moments ever in sport. South African photographer had the idea, as I had originally planned to have Elana and Derartu as guests of the show, but Roger said, why don't we bring them to Barcelona? So with the help of other athletics lovers, Spanish journalists José Luis López and Carlos Martín, as well as Ethiopian journalist Hannah Gebreselassie, and with the support of SASCOC, the South African Sport Confederation and Olympic Committee, for Elana's flights, we made it happen. So in the next show, we will bring you exclusive footage and photos of Derartu and Elana back together in Barcelona. So we're now at the end of our show. It was great to see you all. Thank you for watching. See you in 2 weeks on Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the past fortnight. Thank you. Bye-bye.